Do you like animals? For most of us, the answer to this question is yes. In fact, statistics show that about 68% of people watching this video has at least one pet at home. And whatever animal you choose to share your life with, there's no denying that having a pet can make you happy while lowering blood pressure and stress. With all these health benefits, sometimes it can feel like our pets have saved our lives. And then there are times we save theirs. From an epic puppy rescue to an owl in trouble, here are 6 amazing animal rescues. A pack of puppies. In 2017, the state of Michigan suffered some of the most dangerous and intense storms they've seen in a while. The combination of torrential downpour, gusting winds, and obscure darkness of the sky made it difficult for any type of life to be outside. But when Chris and Pam from the Michigan Humane Society got the call that there were 11 vulnerable puppies that needed to be rescued, they braved the weather and were determined to save the tiny canines. The duo actually decided to Facebook livestream their perspective to show the general public their work. In doing so, they did not anticipate to see what they saw when arriving at the scene. What they found were 11 puppies stuck in a hole that the mother had put them in with the intention to keep them safe from the storm. But in doing so, the puppies became trapped and were at risk of drowning from the powerful flash floods. Their mother was there as well and was being very protective over her offspring. Pam distracted the mother so that Chris could easily access the hole and he was able to rescue 3 of the 11 puppies. But he soon realized the hole was far too deep to reach the rest of them. At the same time, the rain intensified, and it was vital that the puppies were taken out of the hole before it was too late. Chris's idea was to dig his way into the hole, but he had to do it very carefully or else the hole would have collapsed and trapped the rest of the puppies. Eventually, he was able to obtain all 11, and they were taken to safety immediately. Since the whole thing was streamed on Facebook Live, hundreds of families were interested in taking the pups home, and eventually, all 11 of them were adopted. Ali the jaguar. The population of jaguars has been slowly decreasing for years. So when veterinarians at a school in Madrid learned that one of their jaguars, Xena, was pregnant, they were ecstatic. The group was very excited to raise a set of new cubs, but were completely distraught when they found out what had happened. Shortly after Xena gave birth to 2 of her cubs, she killed them. Although horrific and gut-wrenching, this was not an uncommon occurrence when it came to stressed jaguar mothers and their offspring. The veterinarians were upset but still had hope because they knew that Xena had 1 more cub that had not been born yet. The group was determined to successfully deliver the last baby jaguar without causing harm to him or his mother. They thought that the best thing to do was perform a C-section on Xena instead of her giving birth naturally. Because Xena was such a big feline, all hands needed to be on deck when it came to the operation. However, the operation itself went well, and a newborn male baby cub was in the hands of the veterinarians. Little did they know that there was a far more complicated situation ahead than just the operation. One of the veterinarians noticed the cub was not moving or breathing. A couple of them said it was stillborn, but others were determined to revive the cub. They began to try everything. After attempting to use emergency CPR and failing after numerous attempts, there was a last-ditch effort to use mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Miraculously, that worked, and there was a faint audible heartbeat. They decided to name the cub Ali, and they cared for him until he was strong and old enough to be transported to a different zoo than his mother, who was deemed a threat. Milagrito the zebra. The Valencia Biopark in Spain is world famous, and for good reason. It is a one-of-a-kind zoo in which the patrons and visitors are fully immersed alongside the animals because there are no cages or fences to contain them. Some people argue that because of this environment, it's dangerous. But others may say that because the animals are free-roaming and at ease, it is actually safer for the individuals visiting. There are natural barriers such as rivers and rocks, but regardless, the experience is astonishing, and it was especially so for those who saw the birth of a very specific zebra. One of the zoo's zebras, La Niña, gave birth to a male foal in front of an excited and eager crowd. The birth went smoothly and something miraculous happened. Within 15 minutes, the young animal was on its feet walking around. Although a bit wobbly and somewhat confused, The fact that he was able to get up on his own and walk that soon was impressive enough. However, what people didn't anticipate was the foal walked into a watering hole. Nearby observers laughed for the fact that the newborn was clumsy, but little did they know that the creature could not swim and was going to drown. The rangers knew this information and two of them soared to the rescue. La Niña was very protective and did not allow the rangers to get anywhere near her offspring. However, it seemed like she finally realized that the people were trying to help her child rather than hurt him. The foal was able to be taken out of the hole and was immediately brought to safety. He was properly named Milagrito, which means little miracle in Spanish, because of how quickly he learned to walk and how he was saved. Skyscraper climbing raccoon. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, all eyes turned to one raccoon who was seemingly trapped between cement columns and the windowsills of a building. Not much was thought of it at first, but the story began to gain traction when the raccoon couldn't be rescued by the initial team. Instead of walking down a man-made bridge, the raccoon decided to scale all the way to the roof and then kept going up inside of an adjacent building, the UBS Plaza, which was 25 stories tall. Over the course of the day, the story went viral and everyone was curious what the raccoon was up to. She scaled all the way up the building, stopping briefly at the 5th, 10th, and 24th floor. People tried to lure her to the roof with a whole array of different types of food, but instead of going up one more floor, she went down to the 17th. Talk about stubborn. By now it was clear that the raccoon was very tired and hungry, but since the windows of the building were sealed shut, there was nothing anyone could do but wait. Eventually, around 2:30 in the morning, she worked her way to the roof of the plaza building in order to get that delicious food that was supposed to lure her there. Thankfully, the raccoon was fine, and when everyone woke up the next morning, they saw on social media that the animal had been successfully captured and taken care of. Although kind of a silly and lighthearted story, the fact that she was able to climb a skyscraper all the way to the top is amazing. Troubled whale. Mick Menegos thought he was going to have a nice, peaceful day on his boat, Superfish, where he gave whale watching tours. But on this specific day, he came across something horrific. Being an experienced whale watcher, Menegos immediately thought something was wrong when he saw a whale floating near the surface of the water. He got a closer look, and when it looked like the animal was suffering and in trouble, he called the Marine Mammal Center, a nonprofit organization that specializes in the care and rescue for animals in situations like this. Little did they know that this task was going to be the most difficult one to date. After further inspection, the group realized that the humpback whale was tangled in a ton of blue steel cable, which is used for catching crabs on the ocean floor. From an underwater view, the whale's lower body and mouth were tangled entirely in the material. Many of the people there were totally overwhelmed by the situation, but together they formulated a plan. They all began to go underwater and gently remove the blue steel to avoid any further injury to the whale. What they experienced was heartwarming. Numerous people stated that it was almost as if the whale knew that people were trying to help. The body language, emotional look in its eye, and overall demeanor and attitude appeared to be calm and thankful. Eventually, the whale was freed, and the team rejoiced in the rescue of the beautiful marine mammal. Owl caught in fishing line. Craig Loving was used to encountering animals as the superintendent of Lost Creek County Club located in Austin, Texas. Working at a golf course meant that you were bound to come across some critters here and there. However, there was one day where Loving experienced something indescribable. It came to his attention that on the first hole there was a horned owl that had been sitting on a tree stump all morning. Other workers were curious and a bit confused about why it was there, but Loving decided to take things into his own hands. After getting a closer inspection, he learned that there was a fishing wire tangled all around the animal's wings and legs, making it impossible for him to move. The superintendent wore gloves and clothing to protect himself because owls have deadly talons and beaks. Eventually, Loving was successful and set the owl free. But what was surprising was that the owl just stayed there. Loving decided to use a rake as a branch of some sort, and the owl sat atop the rake while Loving carried him to the shore and eventually to the grass. Still, the owl would not budge until the bird looked directly into Loving's eyes as if it was saying thank you. then took off in one fell swoop. That concludes our video on 6 amazing animal rescues. Let us know which one of these you found the most amazing. And if you liked the video, then click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when we release a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.